If you're a fresh college grad looking to accelerate your career and you don't know where to start, this is the video for you. Stay tuned, I got 5 tips to help you out. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben Preston. I'm a business consultant and author of Harness Your Butterflies, and I help professionals just like you accelerate your career so you can be the leader that you've always wanted to be. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and with that, let's jump into the content. All right, so you're a fresh college graduate, you don't know what to do, you like your major, maybe you don't, and now you're trying to figure out, do I take the practical route or do I go completely extreme and do something that my parents would not approve of? You can't get it wrong and you're never done. You're never done growing your career, you're never done learning, you're never done growing, and you can never get it wrong. Whatever you do, even if you fail, it's a learning experience. So with that mindset in mind, let's jump into the tips. Tip number 1, assess the data that you have. Whether you would agree with it or not, your past 4 to 5 years of education has really been a process for you to collect data. And now that you're done with that data collection, it's time for you to assess, what do you like? When you were learning in school, you might have had things that you were really drawn to for a specific reason. Or even more commonly, you probably had things that you really didn't like doing. So for example, I graduated with advertising and public relations, but one thing that I really hated doing was graphic design. Didn't like it. One of the things I really liked doing was obviously videography and writing. So those are some examples of the data that I collected when I was a young professional. So this is a really simple concept. You have things that are wanted and you have things that are unwanted. Most of the time when you're graduating from college, you focus on the things that are unwanted or the things that you don't think that you want to do. So for example, you might not want to be a firefighter, you might not want to be a teacher, you might not want to be an astronaut. All of those things are going to help you determine what you want to do. So figure out the data. What are the things that the data that you've collected, what is it telling you that you don't want to do? And that is literally eliminates so many things. So now you need to focus on, what do you want to do, which is the big question that we all ask ourselves. So to get more into the things that are wanted, I'm going to talk about that in tip number 3. So stay tuned. But make sure that you're assessing the data and making sure that you are aware of what you don't want and what you do want. And if you aren't aware of, if you don't have that clear delineation, then you need to collect more data. If you want more information on this, go back and watch this video about finding a career that's exciting to you. Tip number 2, know who you are. So the definition of who you are will be constantly evolving as you grow and as you mature. So who I was in my early 20s, I'm not the same person now, which is good because I've learned and grown and I've decided to move toward the things that I want to do. So know who you are. How do you do that? You can figure this out by looking at your strengths and looking at your hobbies. A quick way to figure out your strengths, ask the people around you, say, hey, what am I really good at? What have you noticed that I'm really excelling at? Another way to figure out your strengths is, what is getting you excited if you start thinking about it? So to me, writing is really exciting. So that's one of the things that I knew I wanted to have as part of my career. Another way you can figure out some of your strengths is doing some sort of Strength Finders assessments. So Clifton Strengths is a great one. It tells you, you take a survey or you take a test, and it breaks down the things that you're good at or the things that you would professionally have strengths for. So for example, I'm really good at being a strategic thinker. I'm really good at being positive in a situation, being optimistic, and I'm really good at winning others over. Those are really critical things to know when you're looking at a career, because if I like being around people and I like being able to influence people, it's not going to be helpful if I find a job where I'm stuck in a desk in a basement around no other people. Get what I'm saying? So in short, tip number 2, what are you an expert at? If you don't know that yet, then just jump into a job and you'll figure it out. So let me know in the comments below, what are you an expert at? What is your biggest strength or your biggest hobby that you can pull on to get to your next level? Tip number 3, this is where we get into that wanted and unwanted part, and it's take small steps. You might have heard other people on YouTube saying that your early 20s is the most critical part in your development as a young professional. And that is true. And for most people, they're saying you need to be risky, you need to be risky, you need to be risky. And the reason they're saying that is because a lot of people go into the working world not knowing what they want to do with the rest of their lives, which is a big question. So don't think about it in the grand scheme of things, because honestly, you'll probably change 7 to 10 times like most professionals do. So instead of thinking grandeur and thinking you need to make these really risky moves, start thinking about your next small step and take a lot of those small steps to gain momentum in the direction that you want to go to. Typically what people do in early professional careers is they'll say, this is the thing that I want. They want money, they want fame, they want whatever, and they go all in, investing a ton of money, investing a ton of time, and then they realize halfway down the road, after they've invested $10,000, that that's not what they want to do. So instead of just jumping in head first and saying, I hope this works out, collect more data. What you want to do is look at the things that you want and focus on the things that you really, really want. So let's say you want a job that makes a lot of money. That's a ton of career options. You want a ton of money and a job that lets you have freedom, or you want to make a ton of money and you want a job that focuses on innovation. What are the things that are in that wanted bucket that you can refine a little bit more? Do you like innovation? Do you like creativity? Do you like interacting with people? Do you not like interacting with people? Do you like dealing with software? Do you like a career that's stable? Do you want a career where you can travel? Once you start narrowing that down, you're gonna have so many options of looking around and being like, I wanna try this, I wanna try this, I wanna try this. When you try that, when you look at the things that you want in life and you say, I'm gonna try that, I'm gonna try that, I'm gonna try that, you don't go all in. If you go to a buffet and you say, oh, I wanna try that soup, you don't get 10 buckets of soup and take them back to your table. You get a sample and say, do I like that? Yes, I'm gonna go back and get some more. That's what you need to do in your early 20s. Start experimenting, start finding out what you like and what you don't like. And then as you start uncovering the things that you want, then you start moving in that direction. But you gotta do it in small steps. For more information about this, go watch this video about the psychology of successful leaders. Tip number 4, network. But really what you wanna do is once you start figuring out the things that you want, you start exploring and you start testing and you start experimenting and you start seeing the things that you want to do, then you can start networking with people that have the same interests. For example, I worked for someone for the large chunk of my early career until I launched my own business. When I found out that it was exciting to me to be able to work on my own, I started networking with other entrepreneurs who had the same mindset. And in very little time, I had connections in business and new clients because of this connection of entrepreneurs in my network. So once you start figuring out and moving toward what you do want, you can start making elbow room for yourself and figuring out who the big players are in that space and start networking with those people. The key to this is don't be thirsty. Don't just go and try to like someone on LinkedIn because you think that they'll get you ahead. Try to find people that you have similar interests to, where you can start building off small conversations and then build your way up to asking for business or customers or things like that. Don't just network with people because you think it's going to get you ahead. It will, in the long run, it will get you ahead, but in the short term, that shouldn't be your focus. You should be networking with people that have similar interests to you that you can learn from. And tip number 5, make a change. Ultimately, all of the thinking in the world will not help you if you aren't acting or moving toward the things that you want. I'm not saying that you need to act, because a lot of people will tell you to act first and think later. What I'm telling you to do is think first about what you want and then actually do it. If you think that you would love having a job in journalism like what I did, I thought I was going to be a great journalist one day, and then I started moving in that direction and I said, nope, actually I really don't like journalism at all. But you have to act to know how to do that. So change your current routine, make yourself uncomfortable, make change and continue making change until you get the momentum to the point where you are where you want to be. This is a critical time in your development, a critical time in your career. The first 5 years of your career is the most critical in terms of your salary, in terms of your titles, in terms of your mobility. All of those things are really important, but really what you need to do is start making those changes toward the things that you want. And don't be afraid if you don't think that it's gonna work out, because if you're getting excited about it, I promise you it will work out. Just move toward the things that you are excited about and make sure that you continue to develop yourself as an expert in that space so that you're most marketable, either if you want to work for yourself or if you want to work from someone else. But I promise you, don't just think hustle, 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 because all of the action in the world won't help you if you're not doing something you're passionate about or if you're not doing something you're excited about. Which brings me to my last point. I recently published a book called Harness Your Butterflies, The Young Professional's Metamorphosis to an Exciting Career, which covers all of the tips and tricks that you would need to create an exciting career of your dreams. You can pick it up on Amazon, you can pick it up on Barnes & Noble, send me an email and I'll sign it for you. Yeah, but don't waste your early 20s listening to someone else who's telling you to hustle, hustle, hustle. Think about what you want and then start moving in that direction. Work smarter, not harder. And that's all I got. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, drop me a comment, don't forget to subscribe. I have new videos every Tuesday, so I will see you there.